Oh hey, welcome to another edition of hand-laid tracks and 3D printed trains with Socrates. Today we're taking a look at tank car. This is a tank car I saw at Westpoort in Amsterdam. It's modeled after a real one. It's got a little bend to the top. I like the bent tank car. It's got basically a groove and tongue in the bottom. It's the same thing I used for the log car I made. In fact, I was making the tank car and I thought, hey, I could make a log car using the same method. So I basically did the same thing. And this is a groove in the bottom. It's a little bit tight and a little bit loose. I wasn't sure if this would come off. It doesn't want to come off. So you can see, basically, it slips into the bottom. And microtrains couplers on the bottom. Prints in two pieces. I think it's a nice looking tank car. You can make a cut of tank cars with the microtrains. Make 100 cars with 10 boxes of microtrain couplers. End scale. Get it on Cults and make yourself some tank cars. And this is basically how I made it, and you can make them yourself. So in this case I printed them both together. You can print them apart as well. I add my own support for the base, and that one stuck to the print bed, but sometimes you have to pull it apart. I also add a little flange to the outside and the inside on the top. It kind of comes apart with your little thumb pressure, and you can pull it out. And if you need to, you can use a tool, a screwdriver, or pick to pick it out as well. And it's okay to do. In the end, you're going to have to usually a little deburring tool. I use a normal pull towards your deburring, and I got it backwards left-handed to push away. And you have to clean out the inside of the groove a little bit, and a little bit on the tongue as well, because the base sort of fits together inside there, and then once it slips inside, you're good to go. And usually what I do is I fit it together once, and once it fits together I pull it apart again, and then put on the base on the couplers on the bottom. And you don't want to do, if it fits real easy, it'll be really loose a little bit, so you want it to be as close as possible, and that keeps it fairly tight. Like I said, this one is, it's in there, but it's not going to come off. It's really hard to pull it any farther out than that, but it's certainly in there, more than enough for what it has to do. And then once the base is fit inside the top, you go ahead and start to add the couplers, and I do it always the same way, using the microtrains medium shank couplers, and I use the end of a voltmeter, the probe. You can hold the tip and hold the pin onto it. Usually I use the smaller of the two pins because the couplers come with small and large pins. And you're basically going to wiggle it and push down on it. You'll feel it slip into it. They should be able to be loose. When you wiggle it back and forth, you want the couplers to sort of flop back and forth. So when you move it over and over, they should be flip back and forth. And if you get a lot of decoupling or a lot of crashes, make sure that the pins are nice and loose. And basically you put the two pins on, bottom snaps in the top, got yourself another tank car. 10 tank cars to a box, 10 boxes, 100 tank cars. So that's the N scale tank car. This is what I call number 3, because this is the third I took a bunch of pictures of. Amsterdam, Westpoort. There's a freight yard out there. I'd like to ride my bike out there, take some pictures, make some cars. Thanks for watching. See you next time on Hand-Laid Tracks, which doesn't have a theme song, doesn't have a theme song, doesn't have a theme song. Hand-Laid Tracks doesn't have a theme song still. Hand-laid tracks. Sometimes the train comes apart and then you gotta go get it. But it came apart on one of those Revolsi server, those clips, not the proper. Hand-laid tracks doesn't have a theme song, doesn't have a theme song, doesn't have a theme song. Hand-laid tracks still doesn't have a theme song, because hand-laid tracks doesn't have a theme song. Could have had a theme song. How did it have a theme song? Hand-laid tracks, it still doesn't have a theme song.